What's up, guys? I haven't done a video on Bitcoin in a while, and I thought I'll do one today because, I think the last video I had, we were just under the log channel, and I said it was make or break time. We break into that log. It really confirms that bull market, at least on this log scale, from this log chart, and now that we've broken all-time highs, I think it gets very hard determining how high Bitcoin can go, where it can peak. Just really, so I really want to talk about that. Just now that we're back in this log channel, I think we can start using this teal line and red line, which I think are going to be very important in the near term, especially in 2021. Before I continue, not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before making any type of investment decision. Talk to a financial advisor if you are interested in making any sorts of investments. These are simply, for informational purposes only, to educate, and hopefully, it gives you some sort of edge. So that's really what I hope to provide from making these videos. So okay, so now that we are in a bull market, I think there's a lot of technical indicators, whether you're looking at the DXY, whether you're looking at the euro to USD, the Canadian dollar versus the USD. There's a lot of evidence that government intervention, zero interest rates, helicopter money going directly into people's hands, whether it's through COVID relief programs, whether it's for stimulus checks, whether it's SBA loans, PPP loans, whatever it is, they're pushing out a lot of money and it's directly entering the economy. And I think that is very, very, very inflationary. So, my views kind of changed where I think that deflationary bust we saw in I think that deflationary episode we saw in March, that was kind of the worst of it for now. I do think it's possible that the stock market sees a huge crash, but when it comes to gold, Bitcoin, commodities, I'm extremely bullish on them. I think stock market could do very well over the next year or two, but I think commodities and these safe haven assets like Bitcoin, gold, silver over the next 5 to 10 years are just they're gonna shred everything else. They're just gonna kill it. So a lot of people DM me on my Twitter. I'll leave my handle down below. Please follow. Feel free to shoot me a message. I'll always try to respond to people on that. But a lot of people ask me why I use the log chart so much for Bitcoin. That's a question I've got a lot, and it's exactly for this reason. When we enter price discovery, and now we don't really know where price is going, you could use fib extensions, or you can use psychological numbers, psychological area points of interest like 50,000, 100,000. You could do things like that. I think that's very effective. But what's really more effective is you got to remember that Bitcoin's gone from essentially cents to 20,000, 23,000. We're at 24,000 basically. So that growth in 10 years, you couldn't do it on a, if I just take the log chart off, and these lines come out so fucked up, but when you just take the log chart like this, all these big booms, and they're just nothing, because this thing's just kind of going parabolic, right? So it's very, very difficult to analyze a chart that looks like this. You don't know how high it could go. You don't know where it could pull back. You really get no leadway. So I mean, just look at this chart. It peaked. This move back here in 2013, it went from like $20 to 1,000, and it's completely obsolete when you look at this move right here from like 1,300 to 20,000. So you really can't draw any conclusions from looking at the chart like that. Sure, in the short term, you could see like, all right, there was like a descending, there was like a little pennant pattern, and you saw that breakout, and like that's cool and all. But now, when you change it to a log channel, you see that really that exponential growth was actually pretty orderly when you when you look at it. So it's growing exponentially in an orderly fashion. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but that's why I like to use the log channel. And now we can draw out resistance points from previous points. Like, look, these little, tops right here that we were forming in, between 2015 to 2017, and then the support we're seeing, like these lines are still relevant. So it's nice to have that to fall back on. And I think, even this teal line, which was support really from back here, 2012, we saw resistance right here, and then we saw it hold as support. And then it kind of broke down, and then it kind of held as support. Then we kind of ping-ponged between this red and blue area. I think that's what's really cool about this chart. The way we ping-ponged when we started this bull run again back in April, when we had that big wick, we kind of ping-ponged in between there, then we lost it. And that kind of really showed me that those lines are still relevant. And even this log channel, when we lost it, we had a 50% drawdown, then we tapped it once, tapped it twice, but then we broke it, and we've just seen a very explosive move since. So, it beats me why more people don't use a log chart. I feel like the log chart's the only way to look at Bitcoin because it's growing at an exponential rate. When it goes to 300,000, then that move from 1,000 to 20,000, completely obsolete. It doesn't mean anything. So, that's why I use the log chart. That's why I think it's very powerful. And now, I've mentioned this in a few videos. December, January time, that period, that transition between quarter 4 and quarter 1, we've always seen a significant top or a significant bottom in Bitcoin. Given the price action that we've seen from March, the way it's ran from March, it seems likely that we're forming some kind of intermediate top over the next month or two. So I think Bitcoin, after it does this, it's going to cool off quite a bit. I could be wrong if inflation really starts picking up, but I think that's going to take time. I think that's something that's going to take years. That cycle it's going to be a very long-term cycle. And, the real key now is Bitcoin going to top at this blue line right here where it's held as support resistance, or is it going to blow by and kind of go to this, this red line right here and even wick up? Like, the scenario I'm playing out is obviously we should see some sort of rejection here, but if we blow past this, then I would expect us to kind of have a wick above, kind of like we did last time. We have a wick above into maybe like it's possible in January, like if we wick above and we really make an explosive move, we could hit 50K, or we could hit 30K right here at this blue line and just kind of peek out, and then we should retest the bottom of this log channel one more time, and then we should get ready for that next move up towards like maybe like 80,000 or something. So I think things are going to really start speeding up in 2021. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think my absolute short, like I would be willing to bank on Bitcoin. Once it goes to 50,000, I'm banking on it drawing down back to 30,000 minimum. So I think that's absolutely possible. I'd want to be out of all my positions when we hit that red line and then just tether up again. Kind of like this is exactly what I did here. Go check out my first video. I called the top right here. I called the top that day, June 26. I called it. It was a top. Because of this red line. That's what I was following. And that's my first video I ever made. That's the reason I started making these videos. I remember there was a lot of people getting giddy, and I think the same thing's gonna happen here around 50,000. Like, this is going straight to 100,000. Like, no, dude, maybe a weekly close above it would really change my mind. Like that, like even like just any weekly close above that red line, yeah, that would change my mind for sure. But I think there's gonna be like just too much euphoria, and it's gonna need to cool down a bit, and then get ready to make that next move. And we could just kind of ping pong, you know, maybe test it this first time, so we have another test, and then maybe we come down, and then maybe the third test we break it. I don't think we'll break it on the second time around. This first time around, I don't think we'll break it. If we do, that just means we're gonna melt up here, and maybe we peak. I had us peaking, if we top at the end of 2021, we should be around 333,000, something like that. We should be somewhere between 300,000 and 350,000. But if we do start going parabolic now, it's quite possible that we peak sooner, maybe, mid mid 2021 at like 200,000 or something like that. Or, maybe we break above this channel and we start a parabolic move on a log scale. And to put that into perspective, that's just irrational growth. It's like a tulip mania bubble. That's exactly what it is. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I hate to speak in absolutes because everything is, probability, and you just kind of, especially with technical analysis, you're just playing your chart. You're taking what's given to you. So I think we should be forming some kind of peak this month or next, just based off what's happened in the past. I mean, really the only time it wasn't a bottom or a significant bottom or a top was in this past year, 2019, because we actually did bottom out at this log channel, and I was convinced this was a bottom, but we had a we had a pandemic that shut down the world, so I'm just gonna write that off as an anomaly, and I'm just gonna assume that that was an anomaly because when you look at all other December, January periods, we saw the significant bottom in 2018, significant top in 2017. We saw a retest of all-time highs before like a 30% drawdown in December 2016. In December of 2015, we saw this top right here before a nice correction. The bottom, the absolute bottom here for Bitcoin was, January, after this $1,000, after we hit 1,000 the first time. That first top was January, and then, or that bottom, I'm sorry, was in January, and then the top right here was, so this was actually in November, but I did mention that, although we usually peak around December, January time, I mean, the timing's not always going to be perfect, but November's pretty damn close to December if you ask me. So I think it still holds valid. And then, 2013, let's see what happened in 2012. Well, 2012 was a little different, but I think it was pretty young at that point. It had entered the log channel. But over the last 7 years, it's been, December, January time's been pretty consistent in calling tops and bottoms. So that's why I think we should be lining up based off this price action, especially from the move from March, the way we've been going up. I think we're really positioning ourselves to set some kind of top in December, January, and I think it could be as high as 30. It could be as low as 30,000 right here. We hit this blue line and then we get rejected and move down. Then I'm gonna start treating this as a heavier resistant point, or we kind of jump up above this and then we have a little move. Then we retest it, kind of like how we did here, and then we have that final blow off top in above the red zone, and that could be around 50,000, and that would line up with my theory from when we did the fib extension levels. I'll leave that video below as well, where we talked about 50,000 being a massive resistant point, and we should find support around 30,000 once we do that. So Yeah, Bitcoin, it's very bullish. I have to admit, I was shaken out, especially like, from this March time. I was convinced that we were going to go into some sort of Great Depression, but the Fed stepped in, they printed money, they gave it to institutions, they put it in consumers' hands. It is inflationary, and we could still see a huge deflationary bust because as they do this, they're going to have to find a way to calm down interest rates. And maybe a way they're going to do it is they're going to start taxing hedge funds. And hedge funds, I think what's going to happen is in a very inflationary scenario is as they try to tame inflation, what they're going to do is they're going to maybe put cap rates. They're going to cap hedge funds. And what hedge funds are going to do is they're probably going to start selling their equity positions, which is why I'm very bullish on commodities. And I'm still, while stocks can do very well, I'm expecting some explosive moves in the stock market over the next couple of years. I do believe that the stock market over the next 5 to 10 years won't perform as well as the commodity sector, gold, or maybe even Bitcoin as well. Uh, Bitcoin's really that wild card where you get the most reward out of it, but you also take the most risk. There's so many underlying factors. I'm leaning towards a lot of rewards for people who own Bitcoin. So, I mean, if you think you're late now, I just tell you, you see the bigger picture. Then 5, 10 years from, we could see a 4 year, 5 year bear market for Bitcoin after this top, or we could go parabolic, but long-term prospects are extremely bullish. It's a scarce asset that there's only 21 million coins. A lot of them are lost. One guy lost like thousands of them in some dump in England. So I mean the coins are disappearing. It's becoming more and more scarce. So I think that's definitely something you want to think about. Yeah, this video was pretty damn long. I try to keep it short and sweet, but a lot has been going on, and I think, as I said, Bitcoin, if the theory remains true, we should be topping somewhere between this blue line, and we could wick above the red line, kind of like we did here, but I'm expecting us to kind of top somewhere around there in that zone. And then we should see some kind of drawback. If we do blow past this red line, then I would say that we're probably going a lot higher, a lot sooner than we think. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys updated, and I think the next video I'll make is if we start getting closer to this line, these red lines. And if not, maybe I'll make a video if we start moving towards this black line, because I think that's going to be the next buy opportunity. Just like, how we've seen the support held here. So yeah, that's all for today, guys. I hope you guys have a good week. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.